Cool.
They give you one chance to escape.
Okay, we are all set.
Good evening, residents of the town of Dayton. This is the Town of Dayton Planning Board public hearing / regular meeting held remotely on Wednesday, June 2nd of 2021 at 6 p.m. This should be the last time I read this because I don't believe I'm going to be around in 100 years when we have a next pandemic. Well, with that being said, I'm going to read this disclaimer. Due to the increasing concerns surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting / public hearing will be held remotely with no physical meeting location. Those seeking to provide public input should do so using the methods listed below. Video and audio of the meeting will be aired on Comcast Local TV 9 at a later date. A recording of the meeting will be available on the Town of Dayton YouTube channel at a later date, which can be accessed using this link, www.youtube.com/Town of Dayton Planning and Land Use. Again, that is www.youtube.com/Town of Dayton Planning and Land Use. Public input may be provided using the following methods. Contact our office at keasterday@dayton-ma.gov. And that's again at keasterday@dayton-ma.gov. You may use the email subject line public hearing / meeting June 2nd, 2021 public input and include your name and address for the record. Or you may call 508-669-6431 extension 114 during the meeting and leave a voicemail if necessary. Or you may join us in the meeting at joining Zoom at www.zoom.com or dial by your location at 646-558-8656. Again, that is 646-558-8656 with the meeting ID of 986-9696-2239. Again, that is 986-9696-2239. And use the passcode 745316. Again, that is 745316. I would like everyone to please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to
the republic
for
which it stands,
one
one nation, under God,
God,
indivisible, with liberty
and
and
justice
justice
for all.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to ask the members to go down to agenda item number 3, and that's to confirm the next meeting date of June 16th, 2021. Members, please be advised we are beginning our summer schedule. So again, that meeting date is June 16th of 2021. I want to move on to agenda item number 4A, and that is the public hearing continued zoning bylaw amendment 2916 marijuana cultivator definition. This is the Town of Dayton Planning Board, 979 Somerset Avenue, Dayton, Massachusetts, 02715, telephone number 669-6431, extension 114. Town of Dayton, notice of public hearing. In accordance with the provisions of Chapter 40A, Section 5, Mass General Laws, the Dayton Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, May 5th, 2021 at 6:05 p.m., held remotely via Zoom, to review and receive public comments concerning the proposed amendments to the Dayton zoning bylaws adopted June 15, 2020. The proposed amendments are identified below in terms of subject matter. The item designations given have been assigned by the Planning Board for identification purposes only. Article numbers will subsequently be established by the Selectmen for the warrants. Item number 1, marijuana cultivator zoning bylaw. And this is to see if the town will vote to amend the Town of Dayton zoning bylaw section 2916 by deleting the existing marijuana cultivator definition in its entirety and replace it with a new definition or take any action thereon. Item number 2, marijuana product manufacturer zoning bylaw. to see if the town will vote to amend the Town of Dayton zoning bylaw, section 2916, by deleting the existing marijuana product manufacturer definition in its entirety and replace it with a new definition or take any action thereon. A copy of the complete proposed text is available at http://www.dayton-ma.gov/planning-board/index.php, or at the office of the town clerk or the planning board at 979 Somerset Avenue, Dayton, Mass. during regular business hours. Any person interested or wishing to be heard should send their statement by email at keasterday@dayton-ma.gov or call the planning board office at 508-669-6431, extension 114. The Dayton Planning Board, Timothy Ryan's chairman. Gentlemen, I'm going to entertain a motion to continue the public hearing
So moved.
for the zoning amendment bylaws. Has there been a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion on the topic? Hearing none, let's vote by roll. Clerk Figurito.
Aye.
Member Cavallo.
Aye.
Member Cunha.
Aye.
Chairman Rhines is an aye. So with that being said, I want to get into the gist of why this is happening. Is that there's been some clarification through the Cannabis Control Commission out of Boston, where they finally got together themselves and tweaked their law under 94G for cannabis. And what this will do, excuse me, this will allow an RMD to deliver cannabis to homes only if you have already been and applied for that service to be done. So what this says is that basically, if you have, say, an entity coming into town and they want to be a cultivator and a manufacturer, they do not have the capabilities to sell to the general public, but they may transfer their product in between facilities through the new wording of the bylaw. So I hope that explains everything in the gist of a nutshell to the residents in regards to this bylaw. It was just a tweak by the Cannabis Control Commission out of Boston. Do any of the members have any questions in regards to the bylaw that's been presented?
No, I just want to point out that if you look at the current bylaw on page 3, marijuana cultivator, and you look at the second sentence where it says to transfer, the only difference is that the new bylaw says to deliver and or transfer to other marijuana establishments, but not to consumers. Like it's more explicit, but it's just the word, the addition of the word delivery and or transfer. That's the only addition from what it was before. So it's really no different.
Yeah, it's you know, Jeffrey, thanks. You explained that a little better than I did. You know, and that's quick synopsis. So thanks. Any of the other members have any questions in regards to the bylaw that's on the warrant for town meeting?
No, pretty straightforward here.
Mr. Figueredo, any questions, sir?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Mr. Zizade, before do we have any public input on this matter this evening?
We do not. Unless there's anyone from the floor, you can unmute yourself, but other than that, I have no emails or phone calls. Just-
Okay.
Everybody seems really laid back about this.
Yeah.
For the
Well, you
time
know, it's kind of funny, Jeff.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Joe. You know, it's kind of funny, Jeff, that you say that like that, because the first business that was allowed by the state, their name is Freshly Baked. So, all right,
Are they usually late for appointments or what?
so what I would like to do is that I'm going to entertain a motion from the board to accept the bylaw changes as written for submission to town meeting. And also, there will be a communication sent to the town administrator and also the Board of Selectmen through our office manager.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, may I also ask that you add to the motion that you vote to recommend the bylaw amendment? So
Yeah,
not only do you
so,
have to
gentlemen,
accept it, but you also have to recommend it.
so gentlemen, again, I'm going to entertain a motion to approve and recommend the changes to the zoning bylaw amendment, section 2916 for the marijuana cultivator definition.
So move.
There's been a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the topic? Hearing none, let's vote by roll. Clerk Figurito.
Aye.
Member Cavallo.
Aye.
Member Cunha.
Aye.
Chairman Rhines is an aye. Thank you, gentlemen. At this time, I'm going to entertain a motion to close the public hearing for the zoning bylaw amendment, section 2916, marijuana cultivator definition.
I'll make that motion.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion has been made and second. Any further discussion on the topic? Hearing none, let's vote by roll. Clerk Figurito.
Aye.
Member Cavallo.
Aye.
Member Cunha.
Aye.
Chairman Rhines is an aye. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Easterday, for putting that all together.
You're
I'm going to move on to agenda item number 4C, and that's the public hearing for 2792 Elm Street residential definitive subdivision on map 23, lot 12.
Excuse me,
So
Mr.
this is the town.
Chairman. Mr. Chairman, just so you know that the public hearing is posted for 6:30. So if you want to get a couple administrative items out of the way before you can open that, you still have.
Sure. So, thank you, Mrs. Easterday. So with that being said, gentlemen, I'm going to entertain a motion to take agenda item number 5 out of order at this time.
So moved.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Aye.
Motion has been made and second. Any further discussion? Gentlemen, at this time, I'm going to entertain a motion. I'm sorry, there's been no further discussion. Let's vote by roll. Clerk Figurito.
Aye.
Member Cavallo.
Aye.
Member Cunha.
Aye.
Chairman Rhines is an aye. Gentlemen, I'm going to entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes of May 19th of 2021.
I'll make that motion.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion on the approval of the meeting minutes of May 19th of 2021? Hearing none, let's vote. By roll. Clerk Figurito.
Aye.
Member Cavallo.
Abstain.
Understood. Member Cunha.
Aye.
Chairman Rhines, aye. I'll let the record reflect there was 3 ayes and 1 abstention. The motion carries. Mrs. Easterday, do we have any correspondence for this month?
We do not, well, with the exception of the reopening, well, the lifting of the COVID restrictions for in-person meetings versus the remote meetings. I don't know if you want to touch upon that a little bit.
Yeah, if we could.
So as you know, the governor is lifting our remote meetings effective June 15th. And there is some legislation out there from the governor, I believe, to extend that to sometime in September. But of course, we don't know when that's going to go through. One of the sticklers that we're really running into is, as you know, our continuation for Forest Hills is June 16th. So that said, that throws us into a quagmire because we can't, if legislation doesn't go through, that means we would have to have Forest Hills in person. And considering the way we continued the public hearing, it's continued as a remote public hearing, and it doesn't give us the ample time to notify the public to let them know that it's going to be in person, nor does it give us ample time to find a location to get an in-person meeting all set up and ready to go. So that said, I've been in discussions with town administrator, Chairman Rhines, and Attorney Tollerman. And so the biggest, I think the best way to go about it was to request or suggest to the applicant that June 16th be continued. That way, if we have to be in person, we just immediately continue it. And then when we continue it, we make the announcement that that meeting, if it's going to be in person, because we're assuming that the in-person meetings are going to resume on June 15th. So when we do the continuation on June 16th, we will have a location and we'll be able to make that announcement, and everything will be a valid public hearing. And because what happens is if we move forward with a remote hearing on June 16th, it could make that public hearing invalid, which can set up for a lawsuit. So in order to protect all parties, it's been suggested that on June 16th, whether we do it in person because of the way we post it, we will continue the Forest Hills to the next date with a location announcement. And then that way the public will be properly notified during that motion and that vote. And then we'll be able to move forward then. Thank you, State, for that wonderful little loophole that you know, curveball, whatever you want to call it, on us. So we're just waiting to hear back from the applicant. So the attorney, our attorney, has gotten in touch with their attorney, making the suggestion. And we're just waiting to hear back on whether they're going to move forward with the continuance, and we'll go from there. And the funny thing is, so they have us on June 16th, and they actually have a public hearing scheduled with conservation on June 17th. So they're getting a double whammy on that. So, and conservation is going to follow our lead on the same thing, is my understanding.
So none of this would have to be advertised? I'm sorry, I hope I didn't cut you off.
Well, and that's what the issue is. So if you look at the calendar, right, that ad would have had to been, if we were to move forward with the location, it would have had to been advertised, and the abutters would have had to been notified on May 30. No, I'm sorry.
It's 2 weeks from today, right?
2 weeks from, actually, it would have been, yeah, it would have had to been done today.
So basically, it's 2 weeks from the date of the meeting.
From the date of the hearing, yeah.
Okay, so the
There
question
was
is,
no time to do that, and we had no location set up or anything. So, yeah,
so if we set up the meeting for June 16, when will be the next meeting? Is the
That's-
question.
that, right. So you guys will have to discuss that on June 16th. It will have to be discussed. But when you do the continuation on June 16th, that's when you make the announcement of when the hearing is where it's going to be. And that will be your formal notification.
Okay, so we don't have to go.
You won't have to do that. You won't, because the last motion that was made when you continued, it was continued as a remote. If you had changed it, that's when you have to re-notify everyone and do a legal ad. It's when you make the motion, when you do like tonight, or when you did the motion to continue your public hearing for, say, for example, if you did tonight's public hearing for this subdivision, and you make a motion to continue the public hearing. You need to say, we're going to continue the public hearing to our next regular session meeting at 6:30 PM at the Dayton Town Hall,
Okay.
right? So when you made that motion last time, it was with the Zoom. That's how it was. That's how you were announcing that the next public hearing was going to be done.
So
If
we're
you
saying this is all
change
Joe's
it-
fault.
Yeah, sorry, Joe.
I can reverse it to Jeff Cavallo. It's
You
okay.
could. Once you make that motion and it's voted, that's how it's done. If you decide to change it afterwards, after that's done, say the following week, you say, no, that's not going to work and we have to change it, then you have to re-advertise and notify all the abutters and advertise that in the paper. And so
Wow.
that's where the problem came in when the governor lifted that restriction.
Okay.
July
Well,
21st is the next meeting day after that.
Correct.
because
Yeah, I'm
of-
gonna touch on, a little bit of something about that, on the public input.
Mhm.
So if we're all set in the 6:30, I'd, like to move on to agenda, and, gentlemen, I'm gonna entertain a motion to, go back to agenda item 4C.
I'll make the motion to move back to agenda item 4C.
I'll second
Motion
that.
been made. Motion made and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's vote by roll. Clerk Figurito.
Aye.
Member Cavallo.
Aye.
Member Cunha.
Aye.
Chairman Rhines is an aye. This is the public hearing for 2792 Elm Street Residential Subdivision, map 23, lot 12. This is the Town of Dayton Planning Board, 979 Somerset Avenue, Dayton, Massachusetts, 02715. Telephone number 508-669-6431, extension 114. This is the legal notice to the Dayton Planning Board. In accordance with the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 41, Section 81T, the Dayton Planning Board will conduct a public hearing on Wednesday, June 2nd, 2021 at 6:30 PM remotely via Zoom on a petition from John Bruce Zazmuda and Donna Canavan for approval of a residential definitive subdivision of land located at 2792 Elm Street, shown as Dayton Assessors Map 23, Lot 12, Dayton. The proposed two-lot subdivision is located in a residential /agricultural district. Copies of the application in the plan may be requested by email at keasterday@dayton-ma.gov. And any person wishing to attend the public hearing should contact the planning board office at keasterday@dayton-ma.gov or call 508-669-6431, extension 114. Dayton Planning Board, Timothy Rhines, Chairman. So gentlemen, this time I'm going to entertain a motion to open the public hearing for 2792 Elm Street Residential Subdivision, map 23, lot 12.
Make that motion.
Motion been made. Is there a second?
No second.
Motion been made and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's vote by roll. Clerk Figurito.
Aye.
Member Cavallo.
Aye.
Member Cunha. Aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry. Chairman Rhines. Aye. Thank you. That vote is 4-0. Gentlemen, you received your packets from our office manager, and this applicant had come in originally to us and attempted to do a retreat lot at the same location. They went back to the Zoning Board of Appeals, and the Zoning Board of Appeals, through their recommendations, bounced them back to us to apply and have an application for approval of his definitive subdivision. Now, the paperwork is pretty straightforward. I've had an opportunity to look at the plans. They do have the sufficient frontage. Everything that they need is in order. The land has been surveyed. Mr. Delano is representing the applicant. Mr. Delano, if you have anything you'd like to expound upon, go right ahead, sir.
Would you like me to give a brief history of the?
Yes, if you would, please.
All right.
Sure.
First of all, I'm Roy Delano from Lighthouse Land Surveying. I'm here tonight representing Donna Canavan and John Zesmuda, who are also here tonight. Donna and John's parents bought the property in 1948, and Donna and John grew up there. Property has a house that's about 100 years old on 33 acres of land. Property has 200 feet of frontage, and beyond 450 feet from the street, the property widens to 535 feet and goes back 2,000 feet after that, up to the power lines and up to Hunter's Hill, part of Hunter's Hill. In May of 2019, an engineering firm did some perk testing in hopes of getting another building lot. It was later found that the perk testing was done too close to the wetlands, so we did survey, wetlands, topography, new perk tests witnessed by the Board of Health. As Chairman Rhines explained, we originally came in hoping for 2 retreat lots. Lot 1 was 24 acres. Lot 2 had 8 acres with the house. But the building inspector looked at that, and his interpretation was that retreat lots were for new construction only. At that point, we went through a long 7-month process with the ZBA to get frontage variances. And at the end of February of this year, the approval became official. So we're here tonight in lieu of the frontage variances, asking the planning board to grant frontage waivers for lots 1 and 2. We designed lot 1 exactly like we would do a retreat lot for you. The DBA approved that and stipulated conditions that mirror what you would require for a retreat lot. So every condition on the decision by the ZBA is included and shown on this plan, also on our plan. At this point, I can try to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Delano. I'm going to open up to any of the board members. If you gentlemen have any questions, please feel free.
Yeah. The thing that Mr. Ryan started out, that you have sufficient frontage. This is all in very small print, and I'm seeing 200 feet of frontage. Is it plus 40 feet for the entrance to the retreat lot, or I can't really read that?
Yeah, the lot that's designed similar to a retreat lot or as a retreat lot has 40.68 feet of frontage.
40.6?
Yeah, 40.7.
Okay, and the other lot?
The lot with house number 2792 has 160 feet of frontage.
160.
Okay, so
So you guys, they don't have water on Elm Street?
No water.
Town water?
No.
No town water. So that would require 250-foot frontage. You're missing 50 feet of frontage.
okay. I think we talked about this, and we knew that there was going to be 2 non-conforming lots created by doing this. And we suggested to go and do a subdivision. What changes on that? I mean, I know it's the law, so there was a reason why this got done.
If I may.
Please.
So if you recall, they had received a variance from the Zoning Board of Appeals for the frontage.
Okay.
So then they came to the planning board for the Form A. And that's when we had told them that they could not apply as a Form A. It had to be as a subdivision. So that's where we are now.
Okay.
They're applying as a subdivision. Because under the Form A, under the subdivision rules and regs, the planning board cannot sign off as a, forgive me, mixed up. So they could not, the planning board cannot approve the Form A plan because of the lack of frontage, even though they had the waiver or these, the variance from the zoning board of appeals. The only way that they can get these lots split in two is by the subdivision. And so that's where they are now, is applying as a subdivision
Okay, so,
with the variance for the lack of frontage.
so ZBA is the granting authority for that, right?
For the lack of frontage, yes,
Okay, so basically all we need to do now is approve.
is correct.
Okay. Yeah, I'm okay. Anyone else have any other?
Mr. Cavallo, any questions?
No concerns here. I was remembering that as well as, I was trying to think of how they originally submitted it, but yeah, thanks, Carrie, for bringing that up. That was a Form A that we kind of get stuck on there for a bit. And so this is just circling back around with the proper forms. And I have no concerns or questions on this plan, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Mr. Cooler, any questions?
No questions at the moment.
Mr. Delano, I have one question, sir.
Yes.
How much of a total area disturbance is going to be on that property?
Well, I would, as far as square footage,
Yes.
I would say the house itself would probably be 3,000 square feet, and the driveway would be 12 by 600, another 7,000 square feet.
So you're looking at under 35,000 square foot disturbance, correct?
Correct.
Okay, yeah, that would kick in a stormwater permit, as you very well know.
Mhm.
That was the only question that I have. Do the members have any other questions in regards to the applicant's application?
Mr. Rhines, I have a feeling that the stormwater could kick in even with less than 35,000 square feet. I'm not sure if it'd be a good idea to actually check with the stormwater committee to see if they need to do anything with that. I don't think.
Okay, I know that, yeah, what I can do is, I can in turn, because we don't meet with stormwater until the 24th of the month of this month coming up, so that would be quite a ways out. We'll try to get some information on this, going further.
Okay.
Do we have any residents that'd like to be heard on this matter? Mrs. Perry, would you like to be heard? You'll have to unmute yourself by hitting *6 if you're on your phone.
You guys there, can you hear me?
Yes, is this Mr. Brett Perry?
Yes, Brett Perry, 2822L. My
Thank you.
concerns on this meeting are very minimal. The only concern I've had is that we're only putting one house. We went through this in the other meetings and the Zooms. I mean, so long as nothing's changed from our original plan, I think that they've done a beautiful layout with what they wish to do with the property. It's going to fit the area well. That was pretty much all I wanted to chime in about. Make sure everyone was on, we're still on the same page, I believe. I don't think Mr. Delano has changed any plans at all. He just had to run through a bunch of hoops, but that was my only concern, to check in tonight to see, how you guys all kind of felt in the situation. And, I'm for what they've done, being right next door. I think it would be a lot worse. They could jam 20, 30 houses back there possibly and try to give us another Strawberry Field situation. So if, they try to do this, I think it's going to be, fitting to the area.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. Would you like to add anything further, sir?
Not at this point. No, thank you.
Thank you for coming on this evening and identifying yourself with your street address.
Thank you.
So, gentlemen, at this time, if we have, I'm going to ask the applicants if they'd like to chime in. Mrs. Zasmuna, if you have anything to say, sir.
Basically, nothing's changed since the first application except the form. and everybody was happy with the first one, so I really don't see, any issue with this one. It should take place.
All right, thank you. Mrs. Candyman?
Yes, since this whole process started, we have tried and we have accomplished and done everything that the zoning board required and that the planning board required. All we want to do is sell the land to Ken Bell, who wants to live there. We've agreed to every stipulation. We have no problem. The neighbors have no problem. I've talked to all of them. And as the next door neighbor said now, it's just going to be one house on that lot. So to me, that's not a subdivision, but according to the forms, it is. So we've complied with everything. And I don't know what to say, but we've tried so hard because we're not looking to create a problem. We just want to add one more house to that neighborhood. Someone
we
that
understand,
wants to
Mr.
live in
Kennedy.
Dayton, that's a really good town resident.
No, we absolutely understand, and, it's procedural, as you very well know, and I know,
I
we know
understand
this taken, quite a long time to accomplish this matter, but, I believe that this evening that, we're gonna have a positive outcome. So if the applicants and any of the general public have no further comments, gentlemen of the board, I'm going to entertain a motion to
Ms. Ryan?
accept.
Sorry, Chairman Rhines, we still have a couple other things that we have to clear up before we
Okay,
do that. So we still have the proposal from our engineer that has to be voted on and approved. And then once we get that, then we just need to make sure our engineer is okay with that.
oh, I'm sorry, that was in the back of the packet, Terry, I'm sorry, I missed
Yeah.
that.
So
That's my
the
fault.
other thing is, Ms. Canavan, when I had sent you the email back requesting a copy of the, or requesting a check for the abutters mailing for the check, did you make the payment to the Taunton Gazette? Do you have a receipt for that?
My brother, John Zasmuda, made the payment for the Taunton Gazette. The remaining of the check for the post office for the abutters list and any other paperwork that was required, I hand delivered in person to the Dayton Town Hall.
Right,
You
I
weren't
received
there,
that.
so I gave it to the people in the across from you, and
I
they were going to
received
hand
that.
deliver it to you.
Correct, I received that, but what I need is a receipt of the payment for the Taunton Gazette. That's what I have not.
I can email that to you.
That would be great. If you could email that
If
to
I have
me.
a copy of it, I can just email it to you.
Okay, so, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, so what we need to do, what we need first is the, a vote for the proposal of the engineering review services for our engineering, review fees. And then, I know it's a pretty straightforward issue of the subdivision, but it would be, I think we would have to see what our engineer says before an official vote comes through. If you want to make it a condition, if you want to make it a condition of what the engineer says, you could do it that way. But that's just part of the process is we always have our engineers review these applications before the planning board makes any decision on it.
Kerry, wasn't that already done since we submitted the forms?
No, because the last time that we had a discussion, you requested a reduce in payment for the fee, for the application fee and for the proposal of the engineering fees. We don't have any control of the engineering fees. And that's what the proposal was. So that's what the board has to act on first.
So gentlemen, I want you guys to go to the back of your packets. You're gonna find on the last 2 pages, the engineering fee presented to us from Green International Affiliates Incorporated, our engineers out of Westford, Massachusetts. So I was going to
If you hold on, I
entertain,
can bring it up.
sure.
There you go.
So everyone can see, Green International has sent us their information in regards to 2792 Elm Street for the engineering fees. And this is the peer review. So gentlemen, I'm going to entertain a motion to accept the peer review given to the planning board by Green International Affiliates Incorporated of 239 Littleton Road, Suite 3, Westford, Massachusetts, 01886.
Make that motion.
Motion been made, is there a second? And second, any further discussion on the peer engineer fee?
I can't
Hearing
see
none.
them on my screen. Could you repeat how much they are?
Sure, the task one was to perform a project review of a definitive subdivision, 2 lots, report /plan /application. That fee was $14,500. And the second task was to prepare and provide an Excel table to clearly summarizes our comments and recommendations and allows the applicant to respond directly within the document. That is $500 for a total lump sum for the peer review of $5,000.
Now, is that a standard, if I may, is that a standard cost that's always, doesn't matter what it is? Because this
On our fee schedule. Yes, that's what's posted on our fee schedule.
okay, so it doesn't matter how big the subdivision is or up to a certain amount, it's a $4,500?
No, on our fee schedule, it goes by the number of units or lots. So for example, 2 lots would be the 4,500. And then if each time it gets bigger. So if you go for 3 to 15 units, it's 5,500. 16 to 20 units, it would be 8,000. So it builds up. So 0 to 2 lots is 4,500.
Excuse me, is there any way that we can ask them to reduce the fee?
At this point, I don't know that is a good thing for us to even allow that, because if we do it for you, then we're going to be doing it for everybody going forward.
They've actually in their, excuse me, I'm sorry, Mr. Figueredo, I don't mean to interrupt, but in their letter, in their bullet points, they've already received your request. It's on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th bullet point. They've received your request letter already. And we don't have any determining, or I don't know what the word is. We don't have, help me out here. I don't know what the word is.
Jurisdiction?
Thank you.
Yeah.
We don't have the jurisdiction of their quoting fees.
It is what it is. I don't think we can do anything about it. So this is the,
Okay, can I ask a question? Can we take
Sure.
a vote tonight pending their approval?
what do you mean, their approval?
Well, they're gonna review it. I was just hoping to get this going so that we can go forward. So if the board could vote tonight and vote based on the engineers agreeing with everything, it would sort of move things along faster. And we've been doing this for so long, it's frustrating.
I think she's just echoing what Carrie said earlier about making that not a stipulation, but a
Subject to?
subject. Yeah, thank you. So subject to their approval, we can approve. Subject to their approval, I think. I don't know if we can do that. That's up. I think that's up to you, Mr. Rhines.
We could do that, and that would be up to the board members. I'm inclined to to let that happen because we still have to wait for the engineering to come back to us anyway. Terry, what would, do we have any legal on this?
Legal on it? No.
Okay.
You can make it a conditional approval. Say,
That's what I was looking for.
yeah, you could do a conditional approval saying that, as long as it meets the requirements of the project review engineer. So there could be that. I would like to add that we do have some notations from the Conservation Commission, which I think that they've looked over the project and they wanted to let us know that the wetland line has not yet been approved. So they will need to file an ORAD. I would assume that would be on the new lot to do when they do the new building, the new building of the new house. Is that right, Mr. Delano?
Yeah, building permit plot plan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And then Mr. Pilling just wanted to, from the Board of Health, was notating that the perk tests were witnessed and passed, and he did note that the stormwater permit may be needed. And that the septic
what is, could I ask a question? What is the timeline for the work? How soon could we get the engineer's work back? I don't want to wait another 6 months. Please.
It won't be 6 months.
No, it wouldn't.
No, I would say maybe a week, maybe. I can't give you an exact timeline, but
Could we ask them to give it priority?
I
Well,
can.
not necessarily, we could, but again, Ms. Canterman, that this engineering outfit does many other towns, not including, the town of Dayton.
I know.
And I don't think they're going to jump it right to the front of,
I know, I get it.
If I
we
may,
understand.
I'm
Sure.
sorry. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I just have another question, a concern, really.
Go ahead, Mr. Freeman.
If conservation, for some reason, finds that, or the engineering comes back and finds that this is not correct in any way, and she ends up not being able to do this because of conservation, would it not be, if we vote on it, then that means she's gonna be responsible to paying the $4,500. If we don't vote on it, and we wait for conservation to approve it and so on, then maybe she won't have to pay the $4,500. I'm just looking out for her in this case here. I've never met her, but the point is,
Thank you.
I don't like to see people spend $4,500 and not be able to get what they want to get. Am I okay here, Terry?
It doesn't progress. It doesn't go anywhere until the engineering fees are paid. It goes nowhere.
Right.
Exactly.
It won't get disapproved anywhere because it'll never get actually reviewed.
Now, what,
Okay, but my point is, if we vote on it right now, and subject to the engineer's approval, that means the subdivision was approved. Well, I guess, no, it doesn't matter. That's true. It doesn't matter which way we do it.
Yeah, it won't matter. If
Yeah.
either the engineering fees are paid or they're not. If they're not paid, then it'll never not get approved. It'll never get
Exactly.
disapproved because it'll never get reviewed.
Okay.
It doesn't go anywhere.
This is a hefty note, a hefty bill to pay, and I just don't want to see her lose all of it. That's my concern in a way.
I understand. I understand. I
thank
think
you for your concern.
one of the things that we, for the conservation part is, and Mr. Delano, you could probably comment more on this part, was I think there's a little bit of wetlands on there.
Yes.
On the new lot, and And they're just making the notation that before any work is performed on that, when they build the new house, those have to be flagged.
Yeah, that would be after, the planning board made its
Yeah.
decision with its engineering input. Long after that decision was made, then the actual house plans would be drawn up, the septic plans. And if we're within 100 feet of those wetlands, or she doesn't agree exactly where those wetlands were flagged by our botanist, she would adjust them a little bit, and then we just move the house that much further away from her wetland line. But
Yeah.
it's a pretty conservative line out there. But, ultimately, conservation will get involved at the building permit process.
Correct.
That will be long after your approval, or hopefully your approval.
Right. And then the other issue is Todd Pilling from the Board of Health also wanted to note that the septic on lot 2 is a cesspool. So if they're selling the house, it will not pass inspection. It will need to be upgraded, which I think that's more of a civil matter when you guys do the selling of the house or whatever it is you do. But part of the hearing process is I have to let you know because that was part of the departmental comments. So that's all I have. I don't know what the pleasure is of the board, how you want to move forward. I guess I'll let that be up to you guys.
Carrie, could I ask a question?
Sure.
Once approval is, if we are approved, you'll have the 20-day appeal period.
Correct.
After the decision is written and recorded with the town clerk, is that correct?
Correct.
And how long is it after, say you approve, how long usually is it to get the decision? Because the Board of Appeals was like 4 months before we got the decision.
No, not with us.
Okay, all right.
Not with us. It's a little bit, the process is a little bit different. I guess the question is how the planning board is going to move forward between the approval and then the approval with our project review engineer. So that's what the big determining factor is going to be.
And it also sounds like you have a big hearing coming up at your next meeting. Is that correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Forest Hills?
That one will be continued.
Oh, okay.
Because of the location factor. So tonight, if they determine to continue your hearing tonight, I would suggest that they continue it with a location, which we can have here. And then it would be in person, and we could do it that way.
Would it be 2 weeks if the engineer gets his comments back in time, or?
I can let them know. I can certainly let them know. And they're actually very workable people. They're very good at saying, okay, noted that this is where it is. And also just to let you know, if there is anything that comes up, I always, when they send me their review, I immediately send it off to you, Mr. Delano, and then the two engineers can go back and forth if there's any issues and kind of work it out.
Okay.
So that you don't have to wait for the next meeting and
Okay.
hash it out at the meetings. You guys can do it kind of for a different, kind of like on the sidelines. If you'll say.
So, go ahead.
Go ahead, Joe. No, go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
What I was gonna say, since it's not gonna make any difference one way or another, I just assume let's just vote on it now. And, it'll be subject to the engineering being approved or agreeable to both to all parties. Then I just assume vote on it now and it'll be done and we don't have to go any further. I think, I'd like to hear what the rest of the board says.
I echo Mr. Figueredo's sentiment, and I'm support approving this on the condition that with a conditional improvement approval to the engineering review. So I'm good with doing that. I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
Mr. Cunha, any thoughts?
I would agree as well. I did have one question. So the conservation only gets it after the engineer approves it. Is that correct?
The
Yeah, it's
cons-
during,
Yeah, sorry. So the conservation would get it once this step is done. So once the planning board is done, then it would go off to the next step. So the next step would be, okay, now you go to conservation to get flagged for the wetlands, because without getting that done, they can't get their building permit. So it's part of the building permit
Okay.
process.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that then, subject to the engineer's approval as well.
Okay, so right now it seems that the board is inclined to accept this application from the applicant for 2792 Elm Street residential subdivision with a conditional approval to meet the requirements of our peer engineer review. So I intend to think like the members do in this case. I think that the applicants have, basically been put through the ringer on this. I hate to use that terminology, but I think it would be best that we could give them some relief. And then if we give a conditional approval, again, it will go to Concom. They will look at it. Our peer review engineers will come back. They would be able to exchange information with Mr. Delano and go back and forth to see if there's any changes that would need to be made anywhere in the plans. I honestly do not have a problem with the conditional approval. So, gentlemen, I'm going to entertain a motion to approve. I'm sorry, Mr. Delano, you have something to say, sir?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay, I just heard something in the background. So at this time, I'm going to entertain a motion to approve the 2792 Elm Street residential subdivision application with a conditional approval that it meets the requirements of our peer engineer review.
I will make that motion.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
second,
Motion has been made and second. Any further discussion on this topic? Hearing none, let's vote by roll. Clerk Figurito.
Aye.
Member Cavallo.
aye.
Member Cunha.
Aye.
Chairman Rhines is an aye. Let the record reflect that was a 4-0 vote in favor of. Mrs. Easterday, I do have one question. Gentlemen, if you go into your package, you're going to see, I want to go back just to count pages. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I believe it's the 8th page. You're going to see the covenant not to subdivide. Terry, do we need to make a motion on this to accept this covenant as presented to us?
I would suggest that you do, because it is part of the original. Let's see.
And also, this would be
Part of the
put into
original intent, so I would suggest that you should.
Okay, and also it would be part of the decision in the end also.
Correct,
So
There's also another
gentlemen,
deed restriction a couple pages later.
correct.
Yeah, we're gonna also act on that, Jeff. I did see that. So at this time, gentlemen, I'm going to entertain, before I entertain the motion, do we have any questions on the covenant to subdivide? This is standard through the applicants.
All right.
This protects their interest. It will be recorded as the registry of deeds once we give final approvals, along with any deed restriction, which is also part of the packet, but we have to vote on that separately. So I'm going to entertain a motion
Harry?
to accept into the
Member Hines?
Yes.
All right,
Yeah, I just wanted to make a mention here.
Okay.
There is a new covenant not to subdivide and a new deed restriction, with the only change being that instead of it referring to a Form A plan,
Mhm.
it refers to the definitive. Now, do you have that by chance, Carrie, or?
I didn't get a revised one. I don't think, wait a minute.
We can certainly
No,
get
it's
that.
not,
No.
yeah, I'm sorry, Mrs. Delaney. Yeah, it's not in the package, Gary. It's just the original was sent out to,
Looks like.
yeah,
the
it's,
one I have-
yeah, submitted to the planning board and approval not required, plan Form A. So they have to give us the updated one, which
Yeah.
Mrs. Delano will provide.
Yeah, the lawyer has written that, and I think John Zazmuda has, I think,
Roy,
Yes.
I dropped that form off when I dropped the check off to, the check for them to send to the abutters. So wherever the check is for the abutters, that form is.
Well, the
If you
check to
don't-
the abutters went to the post office, so.
No, but that paper, when I dropped the check off, I also dropped the new form off because my brother overnighted it from California.
Okay, so this is what I had in the packet, which was the check and the invoice for the postmaster.
Okay, when I dropped the check off, I dropped off the new form. But you know what? We'll get you a new form if that's what you need.
Okay. I mean, if you want to email it to me, the email will be suffice unless it's already executed. It's gonna have to be executed anyways,
yeah, we'll
Well, my
definitely get
brother-
that to you, Carrie.
but you can email it to me. Email will be fine.
Okay, my brother emailed it to me. He had it notarized. I did the same and I dropped it off to you. But you know what? We'll do it again if we have to.
You never
But I
received
did
a
drop it off.
notarized
I
letter.
want you to know that. And I dropped it off before the time, because I was so afraid to be late that I dropped it off when I dropped off that check. But, we'll do it if you don't have it, we'll do it again.
Okay, I never received a there was no notarized.
Okay, but I just want you to know that I personally dropped it off when I dropped off the check. You weren't there, so I left it with the people in the hall across from you. I don't know what department that was. But
Sewer
it was the
department.
door right opposite yours.
It was the sewer department.
Okay, well, whoever gave you the check is where I left the new paperwork. But you know what? We'll do it again if we have to.
Okay. So it'll have to reflect this definitive subdivision, definitive residential subdivision with the plans.
Yep, that's exactly what it says, yeah.
Yep. And I guess prepared by dated March 22nd. It would be my suggestion that maybe we hold off on those documents until we know that all the engineers are in agreement, just in case there's any, God forbid, there's revisions. Does that make sense, Mr. Delano? Because in the covenant, it notes, the plan dated and then prepared by. And as you know, sometimes there's revisions and you always
yeah.
put revision in there.
Yeah, I would agree.
Instead of doing the execution of this document now, and then say you and our engineer says, oh, well, wait a minute, we need to tweak something or whatever.
Yep.
There'll be a revision and then we'd have to go through this whole process again.
Yeah,
So
there'd be a revised date on the plan and
just in
yeah,
case,
we'd have to refer to that. Yeah, I
yeah.
agree.
So I would just hold off on doing the covenant
Yeah.
until everything is solidified on the plans between the two engineers.
Yeah, and to make Donna feel better, that doesn't affect anything voted on tonight, right?
No.
No.
It would just make sure that all engineers on both parties agree and it complies with the approval of tonight's vote.
If the engineers look at Roy's report and they agree that everything is okay, do we have to have another meeting or can these meetings be over?
No, I don't see why we would need another meeting
If we don't vote on this tonight,
if you don't vote on it.
If we don't, then we would have to have another meeting. But if we do vote, there will not be another meeting.
Okay, let's vote.
What are you trying to say? You don't like us?
No, I love you guys, honest to God. But I
Donna, just so you know, we're here twice a month. Check in anytime.
No, I appreciate, honestly, I appreciate you guys understanding my frustration on this whole process, because it seems like this is all we do. And Kenny wants to build his house. I want to sell. The neighborhood's getting a great guy. We're not disturbing the land. You know, if anything, we're beautifying it. And I just want the whole process over. And I really appreciate you guys working with me. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, Mrs. Canterbury. I think that's the only time I've seen you smiling the whole time during this meeting.
No, because I'm always so stressed out because I just.
I know. I just trying to lighten the mood. That's all.
Well,
That's
thank you
all.
very, very, very much.
So, gentlemen, what we can do is that we do not need to vote on we could vote on the covenant and the deed restriction this evening, okay, pending the acceptance of the revised information. So we could put this all together right now in a nice little ball package and have this taken care of. So with that being said, I'm going to entertain a motion to accept the covenants presented to the planning board pending revisions to be received by the board in the future. If that made any sense.
It did, just as long as I don't have to repeat it and I can say, so moved.
So moved.
Second.
Gentlemen, there's been a motion and a second on the covenant acceptance pending the resubmittal of the updated covenants. So hearing no further discussion on the topic, let's vote. By roll, Mr. Figueredo,
Aye.
Mr. Cavallo,
Aye.
Mr. Cunha,
Aye.
Chairman Rhines is an aye. So gentlemen, I'm going to move on to the deed restriction paperwork. I'm going to entertain a motion to accept the deed restriction submittal by the applicants until we have an updated version presented to the board.
Would that be subject to,
Subject.
no,
Yeah, subject to,
any revisions made by the engineer?
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. I had written that down. I just have so many sheets. I was trying to find that one, Jeff.
I will make that motion.
And I will
Motion
second.
has been made, and there is a second. Any further discussion on the topic? Hearing none, let's vote by roll. Clerk Figueredo,
Aye.
Member Cavallo,
Aye.
Member Cunha,
Aye.
Chairman Rhines is an aye. Mrs. Canavan and Mr. Zazmuda. John, I don't even know if you remember my family. We go way back. I remember your mom working down as the postmaster for years.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since we've seen each other. I'm a little, couple of years younger than you, I believe. I think you went to school with Kenny, but I want to just remind everyone that this is going to be pending the peer review, including documents to be presented to the planning board with revised information on the covenant and also the deed restriction. Mr. Delano, do you have anything further you'd like to add, sir, before we close the public hearing?
No, we'll just wait the peer review engineer's comments, and we'll try to work with him and get it back to you as quickly as we can. And when that's all worked out, I assume that you handle it in-house without a meeting? Yep, okay.
Yeah, we could do that.
I mean, if you need us again, we can come.
Okay. Mrs. Canavan and Mr. Zazmuda, if you need anything from Mrs. Easterday, please feel free to reach out to her at our office for any information you need. And if you could forward that information we've asked as quick as you can, if you could, please.
Yeah. They actually have the receipt in front of me, so I'll just forward it to Kerry.
Perfect.
All right, thanks. Thank you, Mr. Desmuno.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. So, gentlemen of the board, at this time, I'm going to entertain a motion to close the public hearing for 2792 Elm Street Residential Subdivision, map 23, lot 12.
So move.
Is there a
Second.
second? Motion has been made and second. Any further discussion on the topic? Hearing none, let's vote. By roll. Member Figueredo.
Aye.
Member Cavallo.
Aye.
Member Cunha.
Aye.
Chairman Ryan is an aye. That's a 4-0 vote. Thanks again, Mrs. Delano, for everything you've done, providing us with all the pertinent information on both applications. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. It's been a pleasure working with you.
Thank you, Mr. Zasmuta and Mrs. Candyman. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you, gentlemen, for voting tonight. I really appreciate it. Now I can smile.
There you go. Good.
Mrs. Canada, we'll be back here on the 16th if you want to come back,
Okay.
just to hang out.
I'm so used to Zooming, I might be back. Thank you
It's an
very
open-
much.
She makes
You're
great
welcome.
short ribs. She might come to a real meeting and bring us some
Yeah.
along.
It's an open public meeting at any time, any of the meetings that anyone has in the state, so please feel free to join us at any time. We love
Hey,
the
I just
audience.
might bring coffee and goodies, you never know.
There you go. Now you're talking. Now you're talking.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks again. Good night to you guys. Thank you
Kerry,
very
I
much.
sent you the receipt for the Gazette in your email.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, good night.
Good night.
I just
Thanks a lot, Mr. Perry, for coming on with us. Good night, guys. Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thank you much. It's good to see you all. Mr. Figueredo, we'll have to catch up. It's been a while.
Okay.
All right, take care, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we had no correspondence. Do we have any public input at all this evening?
I have no public input.
All right, so I'm just going to say this on the public input is that since Forest Hills is possibly going to be continued for another month, that I believe our agenda on June 16th, if we have anything that's going to come in regards to Form As or any definitive subdivisions, we'll hear those then if, Kerry can get that on the agenda if it's possible, if anybody does come in. Now, I just want to say this, that we all know that Forest Hills is going to be a continuing public hearing for quite a while. Now, we're going to be in a quandary because we have to think of if any applicants come in with any applications for us, whether it be a Form A or a definitive subdivision, we need to find out and make time for these people. So it's going to be a question of, if we do have applicants come in, do we give them the first hour of the meeting and say run those from 6 p.m. till 7 and then open the public hearing for Forest Hills at the beginning of 7 p.m.? And, this may change back and forth monthly depending on what we do receive, from the public for applications. So, Mrs. Easterday and I did speak a lot about this a little bit this afternoon, and it's just a thought that if the agenda seems to be too overwhelming, we may have to call a special meeting for that month, over and above what we're going to do with our summer schedule of the one meeting per month. That may just be an emergency case. We can, we'll have to play that by ear, as they say, I guess, until that time happens. Mrs. Easterday, I think I covered that. Kerry, you want to add anything?
No, I think that was just about it. Just the concern with the one meeting a month for the summer in the Forest Hills. Just how we really wanted to go about it.
Yeah, that would definitely monopolize all the time if that's.
Yeah,
What
and
we allowed to
that's
happen.
not fair to the other applicants / residents.
Right, the only thing that I would like to say is I don't think we should say it's gonna be an hour because
You don't know.
we may not need it And I think we should use that based on the amount of time that we think we're gonna need, because if it's a Form A, that's a matter of 5 minutes.
Right. Well, I think maybe a better way to put it is that when we build the agenda, we just put all those items before the Forest Hills,
Yes.
right? So the Forest Hills would be listed, basically as the last order of business, so that all the other items would be first and foremost.
Now, on this, the fact that the governor opened this up, is there any restrictions at all on it? No.
No.
Nope. So he, not only did he lift the remote access, the remote meetings, he also lifted room capacity. He lifted what was the other
Masks.
thank you, the masks. But with that said, the mask is, you still have to comply. I think it's with the CDC, is that you have to be masked. If you're not vaccinated, you have to wear a mask. You are vaccinated. Yeah. But there's no policing on that. So,
And you're also not allowed to ask.
yeah, right. You can't.
Oh, isn't that great?
Yeah. So it's
Trust
all,
me, I'm vaccinated.
yeah. So it's all the honor system. And that was clarified to us at department head meeting today, because I did ask about that. And so did Chairman Rhines, was, even at annual town meeting, are they going to be, regardless, are you going to be required? And the answer was no. If you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear it, but they're going on the honor system.
Yeah, just so you know, it's exact same thing at the federal level.
Yeah.
They're
So why don't they come up with an idea that they have to have a stamp on their forehead, like a tattoo?
Like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, geez.
So I will say, I don't know, and Jeff, I can't recall, I don't think you were on the board at the time, and Chris, I know you weren't, but if you recall, when we first went into this whole COVID pandemic, it was suggested to us that we adopt the remote access ability, for lack of a better term. I'm having a hard time with my words today, sorry. So we do have the option, for example, like Robert Woods, he's very uncomfortable with attending. So we do have the option to do the remote access. And so with that said, you have to keep in mind is that when the restriction is lifted, the planning board still has the option to have the remote access availability so that members can still attend the meeting remotely. It would be more like through a cell phone on a speakerphone. You wouldn't have to necessarily do it through Zoom. But that said, when you do it that way, you still have to have a quorum present. So even though you have the option to attend, it's only for like a few members who cannot attend. It can't be for the entire board. The entire board cannot do remote. You still have to have a physical quorum once this whole thing is lifted. So there is the option, if you're not comfortable attending those meetings, to attend remotely as long as we have a quorum. So
I'm fully vaccinated, so I intend on coming in person.
One up.
So I mean, it'll be my first in-person planning board meeting. It's never happened.
That's
Hey,
right.
imagine that. Now we get to look at your beauty.
Just I don't look this good in person, by the way.
I was going to say, some of us do photograph better.
I forgot that this was still being recorded.
And we're still live.
Take that, YouTube. Yeah, so I would intend to be there. So, and I did see that email from Woody. So I think reasonable accommodation is a nice term we use in the federal government, would be that we would simulcast for Woody on it could be a cell phone, it can be a laptop, whatever. I can bring my laptop and he can just chime in via Zoom that way, and he can We can turn them around. It can be a face on the table.
We can certainly do that.
We might put something on his face just to make sure.
Yeah.
We'll make him look as bad as we can.
We'll put a hat on the laptop.
There you go.
I know, I just want to say this, that I know the meeting's being recorded, so I'm just going to put this out there. Is I'm going in for a major surgical procedure on June 10th. And if the meeting for Forest Hills was going to be, done on June 16th, that I would be doing it remotely. But I'm hoping to be ready to roll in a couple of weeks to be, back on my feet, and walking and upright. So, we have the capacity limits for buildings have been opened and they're off now. So I think the capacity downstairs in our room is 13, I think, out back in that meeting room, Kerry.
Let's see.
She's going to count chairs.
Yeah, no, I have my handy little sheet here. So the one for town hall, meeting space, town hall, lower level. Well, these are the old counts, so I'm not sure. I haven't gotten an updated one.
As I recall, that room could probably comfortably seat 20 people.
Yeah, that's what I
Pre-COVID.
want to say. I was.
And then Old Town
hoping
Hall
that-
was like 100.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I want to say give or take. I
I think,
anticipate calling the schools and seeing if they'll allow us to use, like the Dayton Middle School for Forest Hills, just because I anticipate, especially with our first in person, I anticipate a pretty hefty crowd.
How's the Wi-Fi there? I mean, we have to connect. Remember I don't know. I remember the high school having better reception. I don't know.
I know. I think
Yeah.
Trying to simulcast.
personally, with me on my phone, it's never good. It's never good. Quite frankly, I always struggle. So.
Yeah, see, I think people need to remember too is that, when town meeting takes place in person, we're there, is the cable's recording and it's not shown live. So they're recording that for a later date. So that would in turn happen with the middle school. If we were to have cable to go there, we could, as the planning board, show it live on YouTube, do remote, and then have a tape. So we're still gonna have to figure out what all the logistics are gonna be going forward. So we'll get it all figured out between now and, when we have to, get together. So, but gentlemen, I know that I don't have anything else to add, but I just want to remind everybody that Monday evening is the town meeting. The special town meeting starts at 6 p.m. on Monday, June 7th at the high school. And the annual town meeting will follow at 7 p.m. at the high school. So just a reminder is that when you do go in for the special, if you're there present, you must leave the building, come back in and register again to attend the annual town meeting. So it's up to the members if they'd like to attend. I know Mr. Cavallo is going to be there on a separate matter. I'm going to be representing the planning board in regards to our warrant articles that we have on the warrant itself this year. And if there is any explanation needed on budget items or anything like that, I'll be able to answer those questions to the general public. Do any of the members have anything they'd like to add before I call for adjournment?
no, I'm good.
I'm all set.
Jeff, you all set?
Yes, sir.
So with that being said, I'm going to, before we entertain a motion to adjourn, just a reminder again that the special town meeting starts at 6 p.m. Monday, June 7th at the high school, with the annual town meeting to fall at Monday at 7 p.m. at the Dayton Rehoboth Regional High School located at 2700 Regional Road in North Dayton. So gentlemen, I'm going to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So there's gonna be hamburgers and hot dogs in between meetings, right?
It's
I
out
don't
behind
know.
the building.
I'll make that motion.
Behind the building.
Motion been made to adjourn. Here a second.
Second.
Here's a second. And then hearing no other discussion on adjournment, let's vote by roll. Member Clerk Figurito.
Aye.
Member Cavallo,
Aye.
Member Cunha,
Aye.
Chairman Ryan's aye. Cable, thank you very much. And have a great evening. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, Joe, can we call you Maria? Is that okay?
You can call me anything you want.
Still
That's what it
recording.
says. It says Maria Figueredo.
I'm on my wife's line, you know, that's,
Good night, everybody.
but you can call me that. It doesn't matter. It's the way I feel that matters.
Careful.
Good night.
Hey,
Different
good
meeting.
night, guys.